bunch of scrimmages in my lifetime. Professional scrimmages, college scrimmages. I've been to a lot of them. The intensity level playing in an empty gym, it's good, but it's different. Now, I think it'll get to a level as they play up and play for something once the playoff starts. But you're going to see some sloppy basketball, and you're going to see some players not as into it. Now, the good thing is, like every other athlete and every other sport, you don't get to this level without being ridiculously competitive. So we know they're going to be ridiculously competitive. I think that part goes without saying. But it's just going to be a different game. And guys can't get out. They can't move around. They're going to be out of rhythm. They're going to be out of what they normally do. It'll happen. I just think it's going to be really weird. And I, for one, have said it, and I'm not going to change off of this. I don't like the season coming back. I think the natural flow is all messed up. I would have rather have them do something else. Even if they did something crazy like start the season early. You know, say, hey, instead of starting here, we're going to start here. And then have something that starts building up. I just think this is it's not a natural flow. I don't even feel like there's a season. That's the one thing baseball and football had going for it. They're not doing a resumption of a season. They're starting new because their season obviously had ended. That's a big difference.
Right.
So it feels different. So I think I don't know. Am I gonna watch it? Yes. Am I gonna cover it? Of course. That's what we do. You know, if they decide that, hey, we're gonna do something in the city, then good. Look, even the Phoenix Mercury, it doesn't feel weird because they haven't started their season yet. It doesn't feel unnatural.
And they're having a shortened season, but it's more natural that way because they haven't started. They're not, off at the middle per se, and then restarting a season again.
Exactly. But
let me ask
will I be happy to see basketball?
Go ahead.
Yeah. So I was just gonna say, will I be happy to see basketball? Heck yeah. Who is not gonna be?
Right. Yeah. Right now we're happy to see sport. Just some type of.
What were you gonna say though?
And then let me ask you this. One of the other things that still have available for players in this bubble is going to be on-site mental health professionals available to players and team employees. So with the whole pandemic, and we know everybody's different, being on lockdown, being, quarantined or, having stay-at-home orders, everybody takes it differently. And we know that, there's mental health issues that are out there, maybe anxiety, maybe depression, maybe addiction of some sort of, drugs, alcohol, something, or something else that can be happening. And, we see that this already happens in the regular day life. Just in overall, just in general and in sports, we see that, and it's coming to surface and finding, we see and learn about it, players going through that experience. Having this available for players and team employees in the bubble, do you think, is that something, what do you think of that? I think it's great to have that. We know they're not going to be able to go outside of the bubble. They're not going to have their friends. They're not going to have their families around. They're just going to be around those people that are there. What do you think about that?
Well, actually, here's the part. I think having mental health coaches and all those other things there is good. I'll take out all the other stuff. I'll just add this one thing. And I'll give you this example like this. Remember when we were first, I don't want to say lockdown, but like when everything was closed. The only thing that was open was Target, Walmart, and the grocery store. You remember how after a couple weeks you just felt locked in? I mean, there was nowhere to go. and we all took these things for granted. Just going to a restaurant, being able just to go to a mall, being able just to go to a park because parks were closed, being able to do those basic things that we just all took for granted. And after about a week or two, even get to week 3, even though you're with your family, you're like, crap, I feel like I'm trapped. So all of us were kind of going a little stir crazy just because of the pandemic. So now imagine all these guys who have resources that most people don't have. They have the money to leave. I mean, and I'm not saying every basketball player is super rich, but if the average basketball player who's making $5 million a year decides, hey, for this weekend I want to drive up to wine country, we got an off day, I want to drive up to the wine country, or I have an off day, I want to do this. It's going to be a lot different because they're almost going to be back to pandemic type quarantine, and they're going to be locked in without any resources to do anything. I mean, think about it. If they see something on Amazon, can they order it and even come in? Can it even come in a bubble? I mean, just little things like that. I think that's why you got to be really aware of the mental condition of the players, because they're almost going to be COVID locked down. They can't leave.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was really good to do that. I commend the NBA for looking that big outside the bubble to see that.
Yeah, I agree. That's one of the biggest things that I saw, and I'm like, I agree with you. It's like one of the best things they could have done, because they're going to go back to that. Everybody's mentality is different. They're going to go back to that seclusion per se, and everybody's different of how they can handle it, they can take it, and having that available for them is a top thing.
Yep. We were not built as people to be alone and locked down. We're not built like that. I mean,
no.
even a person that says, I'm a loner, it's very few people that take that to the point where they're just like, I'm a loner, but I just want to sit in the house all day. I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to do anything. There's very few people that are like that.
And I'm not one of those people. I know people like that. I'm not one of those people.
Yeah. Yeah,
you know
me. And even those people that say I'm a loner, I like to be alone, that doesn't mean they just want to sit in their house and play video games and watch walls. I mean, all you gotta do is flip to some of those crazy stations, crazy shows where guys live like in Alaska by themselves in the middle of nowhere. Well, they're not just sitting in their cabin; they're out hunting, walking, looking, exploring. Yeah, even though you're physically alone in terms of there's no one by you, you're still not locked down. And that's a big difference.
True. True. And speaking about making a difference, and it's been controversy, and we hear every day about this, but let me just start off by saying this. NFL and the commissioner. And he's come out and said that Collin Kaepernick is welcome to come back to the league, that it's dependent on a team signing him, that the NFL didn't, do anything to exclude him to not be in the league, etc. That's what it all boils down to. If a team decides to sign him, he's more than welcome to come back, sign, and play again. But this is the way I see it. It's been 4 years. The NFL sure had to do something to do with it, especially when it all started. The kneeling, signing players, have the form of punishment. It totally affected Kaepernick in so many ways. What are your thoughts?
Am I free to say what I really want to say?
how you really feel.
Or do I have to think?
I think Roger Goodell is full of shit.
Because what he just did was punt. If he had said, I'm going to actively talk to teams about getting Collin back in, I'm not going to tell them how to do their roster, but I'm going to give them a call, and I'm going to say, hey, look, let's really, if you have a roster spot for him, let's really make this happen because we did him wrong the last time. And maybe he don't say that we did him wrong because that's liable and that's aiming at collusion, which we know they all colluded to keep him out the league anyway. But by him, he does not have the authority to make roster moves. He doesn't have the authority to negotiate a contract. He doesn't have the authority to say, you got to go sign this guy. He has none of that authority. So by him saying that, what has he really done? It's still up to the team owners who colluded originally to keep him out the league. So you have him, blowing smoke up our behinds, and you have, Pete Carroll who came out and said, I really wish we would have signed him when we could have signed him. That was probably a bad move on our part, and yada yada yada. I wish we would have done some things differently, and he probably wouldn't have played behind. He probably wouldn't have played with Russell Wilson there anyway. And he kept giving us all these reasons why he never signed him. But then when you stop and think, you say, well, hey Pete, you can still sign him now. And he was like, well, yeah, we could, but we're set at quarterback. Their backup quarterback is Geno Smith. Now, I don't know about you, but I would take a rusty Collin Kaepernick over Geno Smith any day of the week because Geno Smith is god-awful terrible. Mm-hmm. So what you're telling me is you don't think Collin could come in and push Geno Smith for a backup job? I mean, even if you make that offer and Collin Kaepernick turns it down, then it's on him for turning it down. So right now what we're getting is a lot of smoke blowing up our butts. And Roger Goodell is saying that it was really a full of shit statement because he makes no roster decisions. So here's my question for you then. I'm going to flip this back around. He comes out and he says, I'm going to encourage teams to sign him. If he has that much power, did he encourage teams not to sign him last time? Did he not say that before? Mm-hmm. So what indictment are we really looking at? So I think he's on the sideline saying, hey, look at what I'm doing when you really didn't do anything. And I'm going to go back to this, all the way back to the beginning. If Patrick Mahomes and Watson and Odell and the other top players that were in that video, that PSA video, if they were not in that video, and that video was made up of second-string players, the NFL would have never responded. But when your Super Bowl championship quarterback, who is black, comes out and he makes that stand, and he is probably the best quarterback in the league right now, doggone well, you better say something. And they were scrambling to get a Roger Goodell speech together. But every time he says something, to me it makes him look more ridiculous because where were you when this was happening? And I know you're saying we should have listened to our players and we want to bring Collin in, we want to talk to him about this, we want to talk to him about that. The place where I think Collin ends up is in L.A. with the Chargers. And then when it's coming out saying teams would be crazy not to add Kaepernick to their list of players to work out, he doesn't have a QB. So let's see if he comes up there. I don't think he's going to play again. I think that ship has sailed. I really do. I don't think there's a shot at him playing in NFL again. And I think everything we're getting from people now is a whole lot of lip service and posturing, and notes with the president, quote, well, I hope he does get an opportunity to play. Well, he was the son of a bitch a couple of years ago. What changed? Everybody is being so disingenuous. You blackballed him. Flat out, you blackballed him. And now, because what he actually was saying is coming came to fruition, and they're